Okay, welcome back. It's new TPOF period, 12:03 p.m. and we just broke down below 87, but it was nice to watch that for a minute. I was hoping to pull this up um, and show where F took off from right about here at the D high and the top of this area I'd placed in there about 7:30 this morning. I redid all my drawings. Well, I guess it was a little later than that. It was 8:30 maybe. I redid all my drawings from the past several videos and days. If you aren't sort of making a note to sort of test me or whatever you do, or even try to, if you're beginning, especially to say like, well, okay, how does this work, and draw them on your own chart. Um, they're different, even though they may look the same. They're different than they were the last several days. So these were all new, but anyway, these were there this morning. And what I wanted to show you though, this is why I thought, well, I better make another video here. So E opened up and you can see this little blue area, the bottom of the edge. Remember, this is important, and I mentioned this in the pre-market. It's like, if we get up in this area, you want to consider that we may get short covering up here in the end period, and we may be, looking at the 80% rule being in effect, and it is, and it was, and it's completed. It's one for the, I believe in it. I like that. The dynamic is valid to me. So here you have the value area low from yesterday. Okay. You can see that the close was right here. The pivot point was right here. Overnight high was right here. This was a nice little juicy area, let's say. You can see CD is 3 wide. The TPOC is there right now. But when D came in here and it made its way to the other side of this area I'd drawn in a while back, and there were some trades in there. I hope you caught them. There was quite a bit of a few little trades in here, and E period opened here, ticked down, but let me put this back on. I'll use the crosshairs. Did not come out of the value area. Okay, so we opened inside a new 30-minute period in here. And this is important concept as well. Important when wondering if this is going to play out. First of all, we talked about this being a B, meaning sold off, sellers sold off, and it sort of plateaued down here, right? And corrected, adjusted, however you like to think about it. And then, build a little value, but people were unloading and reloading, perhaps. At any rate, finally, we got a double distribution in C. When C closed, we're one-time framing up now. Okay, we have range extension to the upside only. We form a third distribution, in D. We're also we get sucked into a sort of a balance area here. Lots of business to be taken care of in here, and it was. And now it's like, well, is there going to be continuation? Well, E opened up and couldn't take out the D open, couldn't get through the close, couldn't get back outside of this area. Even if it had come outside of it and came back in, it still could do the same thing. But this fits sort of the quote rules. But there were all these other things going for us, okay? And if you got long here, you almost made it to the high of the value. I don't make it. One dangerous thing to be is exact. I tend to be a little too exacting sometimes. So like if you thought, well, it's going to go to the other side of the value area, I'm going to put my exit up here, and now it's all the way back down here, and you've hardly got any profits, or maybe you got stopped out because you were and you took some, but not like all of this. Well, that's another lesson to talk about how to monitor for the volume. Is it continuing to build up here? Is it thinning out and dying off? Is the auction drying up? Right. So now that we've gotten back down in this, of course, now it looks like it's wanting to come back down. So the 80% rule, as far as I'm concerned, is over. It doesn't mean we won't go back up. I have a feeling that we're going to continue up. On second thought, I don't know. No, I can't say that. I'm sorry. Let's look at this bigger picture here. Okay, I believe I'd said that this divot that we could explore you know, it's not just this area right here, okay? You could look at it from all the way up here to all the way down here. This or this right here to right here. You can see these little volume nodes sticking out. Or right here to right here, this one. Or, you know, with a little bit of throw over on either side. But you got to be conservative and say, well, it may be, if it's going to do that, it may rotate from the value intraday value area low to here. So this would be a good moment to take a look at some Fibonacci. Okay. So how about that? Dr. Phil would say. Well, not him, but from the Dr. Phil show. If you don't know that, it's sort of a verbal meme that I like to use sometimes. How about that? 78.6 is right here at the bottom of this area I drew. 618 is right here at the top of it. 50% is pretty close to this one, but you know, won't worry about that. 38.2 is well, that's pretty much the D period pullback. That's but that was before we made the high to get that 38.2. So that doesn't. It's just interesting how that works out. You know, 23.6 right here. Well, that makes sense now because we have a high to grab onto here. So, thing to consider here is that our highest point of volume is at 78 quarter. It's way down here. It's still remaining within the initial balance. So we could see, you know, it could very well just kind of grind its way down here to the 618 or even the 50%. I mean, if it stays within this little area, or is it going to come all the way back down, you know, 786, and is it going to be a big wide sort of building out of this whole area, you know, from here to here? It's probably maybe easier if I do it over here. From here to here, you know. I tend to think it might be more here to 618, here to here, back to 72 quarter area, top of the A. I don't know. I mean, again, we could continue higher, and there's no reason to think this trend won't continue other than that thing I'm talking about there, the fact that the VPOC is here. Now, if the VPOC jumps up to here, which it looks like, you know, I hate to say they're trying to do that, but it looks like that's what might happen if it stays in here. Sometimes it almost seems like they're trying to get it to raise for, you know, to trigger directions they want to take it. I don't know. You know, that's sort of anthropomorphizing the collective, but you know, there is a herd mentality that's somewhat primal and unconscious. You know, at any rate, here we are. It's potential with the VPOC to get back up, or not get back up, to come up to 85. In that case, you know, we may have a P. So we can go from B to P, B to P, you know, that happens. And that P is either expressing just a hesitation before it continues higher, or it's expressing the fact that that was short covering and it's exhausted. And, you know, there's buyers now reloading. Pardon me, sellers reloading to the downside. Now, on that little verbal flip-flop there, I want to say, as I've kind of reviewed some of my videos, you know, checking out some of the things I need to improve. One of them is I find myself saying, you know, a lot. I hate that. I don't normally talk that way. I think there's a sense of just wanting to keep the act moving and not stop, because as I'm watching the market, my tendency is to reflect, to be in that, you know, whatever my brainwave state is, and that I'm in that and not just in a, you know, a conversational mode. So where I'm going with this is, I've noticed that I've said sometimes, talking about going long when I meant selling, when I meant buying, or buying when I meant selling. So, you know, if it looks like I've made a mistake in that, you know, use your sense. What does it look like I meant? You know, so you have to be a participating listener, you know, not a passive listener. Listening participation means understanding what someone's trying to say, even if their words fail. I just made that up. You can throwing that out there for free. All right, so what's next? Well, I'd say the 80% situation and I've got another name for it. I forgot what I named it. That was a long time ago. I don't remember what I called it. But it'll come back to me, because I myself have not done the statistics. I think at times in the right conditions, it's higher than that. In fact, I developed some not dynamics, some variations on the theme, um, that go along with that. I just don't remember what I call them. I had some interesting terms for it because I myself, I'm somebody who likes to check the facts myself. I need to, not from Missouri, but I'm a show me. I'm a got to find out for myself. I gotta, I always tell tell people, do your own homework, do your own research. You've got to find it out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. You got to find it, because I don't take everyone else's word for it. Now, some things kind of have to. Um, I've had various incarnations of the software, of not the software, of platforms, and some of them allowed for different kinds of programming and things like that, especially statistics. Um, and there was a lot of, I was still spending so much of my time webinars and books and staying in front of the screen all day. I was exhausting myself, and then I was trying to learn a programming language on top of it, which I did. I did okay with that, and programming signals and things like, I say that's another thing I do. Things like that. I'm saying that a lot. Um, Programming signals. By the way, this should be blue. I don't know how I just changed that to red. I think should be blue right now. I suppose we could make this blue too while we're here. And I'm still missing, around the open, I'll have to go back and look at the video. I deleted the blue one that was down here. I think it was between like 68 and, I don't know. It's gone. I'll figure it out and put it back on the chart though. Maybe a useful reference going forward. Anyway, let me go back over to the regular profile. Okay, so it looks like it came up from about the overnight high. Again, it's 2 ticks above. So if you want to be 1 tick above, you didn't get filled. Look all you missed. Now, there's other times you get in at 2 ticks above just so you get filled. Even then, you might not, because that was the low. And then it goes with, then it goes right through you, and you should have been right on the level or even below it. So I haven't created an indicator or anything like that other than order flow that's going to help me determine whether and also, yeah, order flow, meaning also looking at the book to see what's there. The only problem with that is it's so unreliable. Those orders can just disappear. It can get 1 tick there, can hit them a couple times, and then vamoosh, they're gone, or whoosh, they're gone. That's what I meant to say. All right, I was going somewhere. Talking about the 80% rule. Okay, so when you're one-time framing up, you got several distributions. It looks like a short covering rally in the price action. There's it's not 80% is just, that was something come up with years and years ago. And after my observations of it, and haven't done the math, I dare say that I'm not sure they did the math either. I think they just, how people will say, man, 90% of the time, da 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 da, or man, I tell you, half the time, da 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 da. So when somebody says something, listen to it in people's speech. When they say half the time this light doesn't work, or half the time he's late, or half the time, she's texts me, whatever, fill in the blank. So, or half the time she calls me at the wrong time, or something like that, right? So that's really, what are you saying? A 50% rule. There's your 50% rule. Half the time. Or if 90% of the time, when I go to the store, I usually miss the sale, or when 90% of the time I go there, that chick's working, or something like that. Okay, there you go. There's the 90% rule. So based on things that I've seen, I think that was an arbitrary number. It's kind of even too, isn't it? And either way, markets change, dynamics change. That number is not going to stay the same if you have a rolling, let's say a 365-day period of look back and how effective was it last year. Last year, this might have only played out 60% of the time when the dynamics were, when the quote unquote conditions, well, not conditions, the criteria were met. And anyway, like I've said, I found like this one, when I started talking about it, when it was looking like it was happening, and I was about 85-90% sure that we were going to get up to the high of the value area. Okay, you say, Ben, we got to 91, we didn't get to the high. Hey man, sometimes it gets to the exact tick, sometimes it gets to a couple ticks from it. So you got seller stepped in here. Seller stepped in here. So what? They stepped in where? At the value area high. 3 ticks from it? Yeah, they stepped in at the value area high, not at the value area tick. Sometimes it can hit it, go through it a little bit. It's just, okay, I've had this talk before. If you're exact, that's why I draw these areas. I don't put in a line where, 78 is support. Now, there are certain important inflection points, areas of interest that everybody sees, like the day's low or high, things like that, that they may be to the tick. Anyway, I'm talking about many different things now, and I really just want to get back in and do a review as what's happening. We've had the many distributions. We met the conditions, and this was an area that I'd drawn this morning that was a place to sell initially, and then once we're above it and the dynamics are changing, that we got range extension to the upside, and we've gotten above it, we've come back down to it. Now it's a buy area. It also was always a buy area if we stayed in there at this edge. And C kind of reflected that. It was not wanting to really get back down at first. If someone shorted in here at C, it was good for a scalp because it wasn't clear whether it was going to come back down to the B high or not. And it didn't. This edge, it kind of got sucked in this balance. So this stuff gets a little tricky and complex, but get a feel for it. You start to kind of know how to play it, most of the time. It's easy to forget your own. It's one thing about being a trader that I've noticed, not just for myself, but in others, is that the consistency is about just like our energy levels or our moods or our feelings of well-being. We are human beings that lots of things go into how we're feeling. I mean, yeah, there's exceptions. Some people feel great all the time, in a great mood all the time, just like there's people who are always sickly and who are always in a bad mood. But most of us are, in the journey to self-mastery, we've discovered that we are kind of changeable. And it's the same way with trading. We can be very changeable in our, there's times I completely forget to look at some of the tools that when I do look at them, they really, really help me. They really, really help me. Like reading the tick when I'm about to look for using it for timing to get in a trade. Really, really helps me. There's been times that I realize, I never, I had that because I have it as a detached chart. There's times it's like it's not up. I didn't put it up in the corner of a screen where I like to keep it. And in fact, I just recreated a chart for doing a little bit more micro entries. I'm looking for it. Where did it go? I would just completely. I must have X'd it out one time and closed it, and then save the layouts. And again, this is not my regular computer yet, but it was gone. I had to recreate it, and it's like, why am I not looking at that? Yeah, that one's really helpful. Why am I not looking at that chart? So all right, that's a long video. If you've watched any of them today, thank you. Please like, subscribe, and if you have something nice to say, it'd be nice to hear from you in the comments. I don't know if I'm going to I'll probably make a pre-market tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to continue. I really want to maximize the weekend and do some other things that I need to get done that I'm behind on. Let's see what else to say. Yeah, so please like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That'd be great. And if you are on Twitter, I'm going to put my Twitter stuff in the comments later. And you can follow me there. That way, if you got your phone by there, Well, I don't know. I don't use it a lot myself. I don't use Twitter a lot other than when I make these videos, they get pushed out to it. And I do have an account. And I would like to, I guess what I'm saying is, however you get an alert that when I do it live or when I start broadcasting this, I mean, you can watch this live. So it's real time. And that's kind of fun. Um, I don't really have it set up to interact at the moment. And I'm not sure that I really want to do that. Although it would be nice to talk to some people who enjoy this, um, hear their feedback. Uh, you know, all right. Thanks a lot. Happy Thursday.